Thank you, Steph. Indigenous leaders, elders, the Prime Minister and other dignitaries gathering in Ottawa yesterday, holding a ceremony ahead of Canada's first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. City News reporter Erica Natividad has this story.
On the eve of the very first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation in Canada, a gathering in front of Parliament Hill. Tiny shoes are scattered in pairs in front of the podium, a pile of stuffed animals at its base, symbols of the hundreds of Indigenous children who fell victim to the residential school system and never made it home.
There is no reconciliation without all Canadians understanding and acknowledging the systemic racism that continues.
Celine Tusky is a survivor of the Quebec Indian residential school system. She was taken from her home in 1962 at just 7 years old.
They took us so fast. My own mother did not have time to hug us. I screamed from the bus to my mother, "Are you coming with us?" She said back, "No."
Many did not hear, "I love you." And we were made to feel that we were not good enough.
We need to convince the government and we need to convince the churches that they need to bring forward all that information. Many of these children that were buried there was no records of them.
It's harder to reflect on the truth of the mistakes, of the evil that we did in the past. But that's what this day of truth and reconciliation must be.
For City News, I'm Erica Natividad.
And we recognize today may be difficult for many victims, families, survivors. This may trigger some painful memories and experiences. So please do have a look at some of the support services that are available. And we're going to continue to put this up on our screen, also available on our website here. Now, there will be several in-person and virtual events happening today as Canadians mark this first ever National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And our reporter Faiza Amin joins us now live from Queen's Park with a look at some of the events that are happening around the city and around the GTA. Good morning, Faiza.
Good morning, Mel. We do know that some people are going to be coming here to Queen's Park, where a memorial and vigil site has been set up for victims and survivors of the residential school system here in Canada. A number of events also happening in and around the GTA, including one hosted by the Toronto Zoo in partnership with the Native Child and Family Services of Toronto to offer programming throughout the day with an opening ceremony that's starting at 9:30 a.m. and complimentary admission is being offered to Indigenous peoples today. Michael Garron Hospital is hosting a pipe ceremony at the Bears Den All Nations Traditional Medicine Suite Lodge. That will be held at noon today. Ontario's Lieutenant Governor will be in attendance. This event is hoping to provide attendees with the opportunity to reflect and commemorate the legacy of residential schools, murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls also. And in Brampton, the day will be recognized as a federal holiday. City facilities will be closed, transit services will be operating on a holiday schedule, flags will be lowered, and the City Hall clock tower will be lit orange. Residents are encouraged to participate and reflect by participating in city and local events. And another note for you, 6 Nations of the Grand River Elected Council will be at Chiefswood Park in Ohsweken today for a candlelight vigil. That is set to start at 4 p.m. You can either attend in person, but you know COVID protocols are in place. You can also go on their Facebook page where that will be streamed live. Mel.
All right, that is our Faiza Amin reporting live from Queen's Park. Thank you for that. And I do want to remind our viewers, we do have special coverage that will continue throughout the morning. Our national show, which begins at 8:30, is dedicated entirely to bringing you those stories, the important issues from the Indigenous community. So please do stay with us. We have a number of guests who will be joining us throughout the morning. Let's get to some other news now. A man in his 30s in hospital in serious but stable condition after a shooting that happened in the West Donlands area. Crews called to the scene on St. Lawrence Street near King just before 3 this morning. Police say the victim, found on the street suffering 2 gunshot wounds. He was rushed to St. Mike's Hospital. Investigators say a second man walked into St. Mike's with a gunshot wound shortly after that. Police are looking into whether or not the incidents are connected. And want to bring you to a live look at the scene right now. You can still see that it is taped off. Officers say they're going to be holding this scene through the morning. If you have any information, as always, police want to hear from you. You can always do that anonymously as well through Crime Stoppers. We're also following this developing story. A man in his 20s, also in hospital, fighting for his life this morning after a stabbing that happened in Etobicoke. Don't have a whole lot of details at this point, but what we know, officers called to the scene near John Garland Boulevard and Humber College near midnight after reports that someone was stabbed. Emergency crews locating a victim with life-threatening injuries rushed to hospital, and right now they've not said whether or not his condition has improved. So we're going to continue to follow developments there. To COVID-19 now, Toronto's top doctor warning people to keep their gathering sizes in check when it comes to Thanksgiving, which is coming up in a couple weeks.
Plan the safest Thanksgiving you can. It's too bad we have to urge caution again. But once more, this year, caution is a must. I hope that next year we'll really have something to celebrate.
Roughly 80% of eligible Torontonians are now fully vaccinated. And for the second day in a row, Ontario reporting less than 500 infections with 495 new cases yesterday.